As I sit here today, I am reminded of a time as a young mother when I lost sight of my daughter in a clothing store. It was only a matter of seconds, but I felt a feeling of doom, of absolute dread, thinking, where is my child? Is she hurt? Is she calling out for me? I felt like the world was crashing down on me. Now imagine feeling that feeling for 1,034 days. That's how long it's been since this policy was first announced, since mothers, fathers, and families first feared never seeing their child again. I'm also thinking about St. Louis and the many years I spent in the streets as an organizer, in our hospitals, as a nurse, and in our faith houses as a pastor, counseling families who've experienced trauma and violence. Family separation is rooted in our nation's history. Let's be clear, harking back to Black children being torn from their mother's arms at slave auction blocks, including the very courthouse that now forms part of the iconic St. Louis skyline. But these historic crimes against humanity didn't only happen in St. Louis. Our country has forcibly removed Native children from their families. We separated Japanese children from their parents in internment camps. The scars of white supremacy are a trauma in our nation's DNA. It's a lasting trauma that will stay with these children and their families forever. Mr. Horowitz, your investigation revealed that former Attorney General Jeff Sessions was a driving force of the zero tolerance policy. And though Stephen Miller is not named in your report, let us not forget that he played a central role in designing and carrying out this policy. White supremacy is a disease that turns cruel and hateful ideas into cruel and hateful policies that affect people. Inspector General Horowitz, according to your report, at least 2 parents were told by officers that their children were being taken for baths. That was the last time they saw their children. In your experience, is it ever appropriate for law enforcement to deceive parents about their minor children in this way?
I can't think of a circumstance, Congresswoman, where that would be appropriate.
Thank you. Did you find any evidence that AG Sessions or Deputy AG Rosenstein took any action to determine the trauma, the anxiety, and the isolation imposed on small children and all children as a result of this practice?
Our concern was that there wasn't a sufficient effort to try and understand how this would happen and how it would impact the ability to reunify later, and the mistaken understanding that could have been learned that simply couldn't happen promptly in order to ensure reunification in a timely manner.
Okay. Well, it has become strikingly clear that though the zero tolerance policy is over, the impact endures. This is especially the case given the lasting impacts of the criminal charges lodged against these parents. In your report, Mr. Horowitz, you described the DOJ's focus on increasing prosecutions as, quote, single-minded, end quote. Can you restate, for this record, please, the Department of Justice knowingly enacted the zero tolerance policy with the understanding that it would impose stronger criminal charges on family unit adults and force children away from their parents. Is that correct?
That's correct. That was certainly the understanding of Attorney General Sessions as we found in our report when he announced the zero tolerance policy in April 2018, and his effort to encourage DHS to change its policy, which it did on May 4th, to authorize or to start sending adult family unit members for criminal prosecution.
So in your estimation, would you say that this policy led to an increase in the number of felony and or misdemeanor charges filed?
Well, it certainly resulted in a substantial increase in the number of misdemeanors. I believe it also resulted in a significant increase in the number of felonies, but I'd have to follow up on that.
Mr. Horowitz, who would have the answers to these questions?
Well, we can certainly get you the figures, Congresswoman, from here at the department on the increase in prosecutions. I just don't have them right in front of me.
Thank you. I can never know the heartache of spending months and years without knowing if my child was in danger, hurt, or sick. But I do know almost any parent would do anything that they can to see their child again. It's essential that we reunite these families together. I strongly believe that we must remove the threat of criminalization and provide families with full amnesty and clear their records. This is the absolute least we can do. Thank you, and I yield back.